Well, it's great to be back once again with Buffs Primetime, presented by Aflac. Get help with expenses health insurance does not cover. Visit Aflac.com to learn more. We got a great crowd coming off a loss last week. You guys still jacked up about the Buffaloes. Great to see you. Thanks for being here today. Buffs coming off their 42-6 loss to Oregon last week. Now we get set for number 8 USC coming to town on Saturday. Another 10 a.m. kickoff. You guys like the early kickoffs? You didn't seem nearly as excited about the 10 a.m. kickoff as you did about the team there. But we're going to hit the air at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. We'll be out on Duane Field. And then at 10 o'clock, Coach Prime and the Buffaloes will take on USC. Coming up with the program, we've got our tight ends. Coach Tim Brewster is going to join us. And I just heard moments ago, our student athlete had a conflict, and so you're going to get a couple of segments of Tim Brewster. But you guys ready for Coach Prime to come on out? Let's bring out the head coach of the Buffaloes, coming off that game with Oregon last week. Coach Prime on Buffs Prime Time here at the Post at Chicken and Beer. Where's he coming? What door is he coming? There he is. What's up, Coach? Well, you were looking stylish today, man. Holy cow.
When I dress like that, it means we're working.
There you go. Yeah.
That's what I'm implementing to the team. We got to work.
I mean, you always look good, but holy cow. All right, last week, 42-6. What happens, we've talked to you now 3 consecutive weeks after wins. After a loss like last week, what changes for you in that game?
You really don't change the way you attack everything because you got to show a level of a consistency to your kids. But you really focus on the things that were detrimental to the defeat. All right. Run game, run defense, personnel, just moving the ball, period, on offense. And some of the special team blunders that we had. So we lost on all 3 phases, so you had to attack all 3 phases. And then we sustained a couple of injuries that could cost us in the future. But you really try to keep these guys at a certain level and build off of that because although we get our butts kicked, rightfully so, we're upset at being 3-1. And I like that.
Sure.
That we're upset and we're 3-1. We're not satisfied.
Coach, we would have given a leg last year to be 3-1 here at Colorado. So we fully understand. There is no doubt about that. is it easier after a loss? I mean, you always want to have your team's attention. Is it easier to get their attention?
No? It's about the same.
Is it?
Because you have different. You got dogs, you got cats, you got a different level of young men across the locker room, and you're trying to reach all of them. Some guys don't need motivation. Some guys do. Some guys you got to put your foot in them and kick their butts to move. Some guys don't. So you just got to reach them where they're at. And then it's not only the kids, you got to reach coaches too.
Sure.
Coaches get complacent. Coaches get a little lackadaisical. And they got to stay on their butts about doing their job as well.
You said something in your press conference on Tuesday that I just love. Somebody asked you about, reading the team and kind of how they're reacting. And you said, more than watching the players, I'm watching the coaches.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. Expand upon that.
Because you take for granted that everyone's won.
Yeah.
See how I just sat down and let you marinate with that? You take for granted that everyone's come from a winning program. We did some tremendous things at Jackson. We won. But a lot of other guys, they hadn't won.
Yeah.
So you sit up there and watch the coaches with all the fanfare, all the glitz, the glamour, and the glory, and you say, all right, now don't get intoxicated with this foolishness. Don't do that. And you start seeing them go down that street, and you got to dial them back in.
Sure.
And check them and make sure they're straight in their proper leadership role.
You had something on social media this week that I thought was outstanding. You talk about dogs in the team, and you read the team the text from Travis after the game. About how he said, I'm not going to take no for answer. I want to play. We got to win. That and your response was fantastic. Hey, I love you. Your health's more important than the game and all that. But it's that kind of fight, that kind of intensity you're looking for, isn't it?
The thing about that text, I wanted them to understand, how can I just read a text message and you know who sent it?
Sure.
Before I even said who sent it. I didn't even have to say who sent it, you know. Why couldn't it have been somebody else? Travis is not the only injured player we have.
Right.
It could have been someone else, but they didn't even second guess it. That's the type of players I want. That type. Yeah. That you don't even second guess, you know who that is. And they knew who it was.
Is it, when you're on the recruiting trail, is that one of the toughest characteristics to identify?
No.
No?
You see that one from a mile away. I mean, the thing that you can't detect on the recruiting trail is the heart. You cannot examine the heart, and you cannot detect the heart. People could lie, they could falsify things. You do not know what's in their heart until you get them under pressure.
Okay.
That's the toughest thing to examine, and that's what we're looking for.
Right. So the idea that when you put pressure on somebody, they expose themselves, correct?
Truly. Some do. Most do. But you don't. See, it's a lot of blame game happens, too, on those sidelines that you don't get to see.
Sure.
So you're in a timeout, and we have kind of structured timeouts. They don't say nothing until they're spoken to, and then we talk to them. Then the defensive coordinator talks to them. Then we go back out. But if a guy's getting challenged and he starts blaming his teammates, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Just get on out. Let's come on over here because you're not a team guy. Because you need to take responsibility because we're telling you if you do your job, he's going to do his job. But you're so worried about everything else instead of doing your job.
Okay.
A lot of that goes on the sideline.
Sure. Yeah. And I've watched, and this is a little observation I made with Prime at practice one day. There was a little shouting that went on, and I saw a coach came rolling over there, and you got on the guy and you told him, you're being selfish right now.
That's right.
Because he was more intent on defending himself than he was about fixing the problem.
Yeah, because actually, are you right or wrong?
Yeah.
I'm wrong, but no. You're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong. It ain't no but and wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't think that guy's no longer with us.
He's not. I wasn't going to say his name, but you're right. He's no longer with us. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
You see everything, don't you? You don't realize I see everything.
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, he's no longer here. Hey, we mentioned Travis. How's he doing health-wise?
He's doing well.
Yeah.
He's really doing well. He wants to play.
Right.
But he has to get healthy. I care about that kid. I mean, he's just like one of my children. I love him. Like, he loves the game of football, but he has to understand there's an expectation of him. You can't get on the field halfway. Like, when you play, you got to play. You can't get out there and go half, and he knows no half speed, but he will play, and he's not 100%. Yeah. And then it's not a full Travis. Then the whole country is saying he's not this or that, and I can't put him in that situation.
There's a difference. I was talking with somebody earlier about this, the concept of being hurt and being injured.
Yeah.
When you're an athlete, you're hurt all the time, right?
Yeah.
But you're injured, that's a totally different thing.
That's a totally different thing. It's just like some guys, the way they go about practice as a kid. That's when I had to check myself.
He's editing himself.
You practice or you don't. There's no halfway. Yeah. Like, I could give you halfway. Like, I could say, okay, weave. Let me just see you move. I want to see you work 707. After that, shut it down because I know what you got. I know who you are. I could say that to Xavier Weaver because I know what he's going to come with. Mm-hmm. But, some other guys, I just want to go in here and do this. No.
Right.
You ain't got it like that. I don't trust you like that. Because if you only showing me 10%, that's pretty much all I'm going to get. Why am I dressing you out? And I could dress somebody else out that's going to give me the other 90.
Sure.
I don't need that. But because that guy does not have a track record of what he's going to put on tape, and Weaver does.
So you build a resume that you as a coach can trust.
You build a resume and you build a relationship.
Okay.
That's based on facts, not fiction.
All right, we're asking about guys that are injured. How about your son? How about Charlotte?
Praying for him.
Yeah.
I don't even know how he did this. I mean, what's going on with the kidney in the boulder? What is going on with us right now?
Right.
I mean, he got on the plane and he's like, Dad, I'm peeing blood. It's like, okay, darn it. So we landed and we went straight to the hospital and to check him out, and he was cool, but he can't participate until he stops urinating blood.
Sure. Well, yes.
Because it's a precaution.
That's kind of important.
He's told the doctor, I'm a Sanders, right? We got to play. I mean, like, you're right, son, you do. So he wants to play so bad. So we have another probably 36 hours before we really know if he's not urinating blood anymore.
Coach, where does I think about this?
Also, you got to understand that's a blow. Shiloh is he's the attitude back there. He's the vocal guy. He's the enforcer. He's him back there.
Right. Yeah. Very competitive. In fact, that's what I was kind of going to ask you about. We talk about Travis and his competitive nature. Shiloh has got that. Your other son, Shadur's got that as well.
Slusher.
Slusher. Miles Slusher's got it. Oh, yes. No, there's some guys back there that are dogs, as you say. Where does competitiveness come from?
That's a tough question. I don't think you can implement that in anyone. That has to be innately inside of you. That has to be something that you don't settle for second. Like you, if you're walking with your friend down the street of this wonderful downtown area or whatever we call it, you want to win. You want to just have one step. You just want to be one step ahead. You just don't want to be second to nothing.
Right.
That's just innately in you. You can't teach that.
Yeah.
You can't manufacture that. That has to be a part of you.
You know, the great Bill Bradley, who, you know, was an NBA player, senator, one time he made the comment, somebody asked him how he came from a privileged background and played at the highest levels of basketball. And he said, I had to overcome the liability of wealth, he said.
That's
because
good.
if you come from a tough background, you want to maybe fight your way out of it,
That's
right?
good. See,
Yeah.
the difference is that my kids, my younger kids, they grew up in wealth.
Yeah.
Grew up in huge homes and tennis courts, swimming pools, lakes, and all that.
Sure.
But I took them to the inner city to participate in all of sports. We didn't have no easy ride in sports, so I took them on the other side of town, and that's how they grew up. So they grew up being challenged because they were considered the rich kids.
Yeah.
So they had to get that tag off of them early on. And, you know, Shiloh, now he took it to a whole nother level because he took up boxing as well. So you try him if you want to. He was going one to you, and he did that quite a bit.
That's good.
Yeah.
You know, your guy Shaq, I thought it was funny. He said that one of his kids one day said something about being wealthy, and he said, "No, you're not wealthy. I'm wealthy." Right? And that's making
that's what Shiloh. He always said, "Dad, well, where's my trust fund?" I said, "Son, I don't trust you, and we never had fun."
Outstanding. That's Coach Prime. He and the Buffaloes have got USC on Saturday at Folsom Field. Again, 8 o'clock pregame, 10 o'clock with the kickoff. We'll continue with the head coach of the Buffaloes after this. We're at the Post Chicken and Beer. It's Buffs Primetime presented by Aflac, and this is Colorado football from their field. University of Colorado football is brought to us by the Hilton's on Canyon. Are you coming to Boulder for the game? We'll stay at the Hilton's on Canyon, a proud hotel partner of the Buffaloes. It's Buffs Prime Time, presented by Aflac. We're here at the Post Chicken and Beer in downtown Boulder. We continue another segment with the head coach of the Buffaloes, Coach Prime. Hey, did I see the other day you got yourself a parking ticket on campus? Who do we need to talk to get that taken care of? Huh?
You got to understand, sometimes my son dates things, so we're not accurate. Because sometimes when we go places, we don't actually post true to the time because people know I'm there. We may post it 3 or 4 hours or even a day later. Yeah. But no, that was, I think that ticket is old. It was really old. But the audacity. The audacity.
Corey, can we take care of that ticket for Coach?
Yeah, the audacity. We won't even go there, please.
Oh, man, that was kind of funny. When you look at your team right now, when running the football, when
we do that?
Well, we're trying to run the football.
There you go.
How are you addressing that? What are you thinking about?
With everything I got. Yeah. That's an attitude that starts immediately up front with the offensive lineman. That's a tremendous attitude. You either want to or you don't. It's let's just ain't no just trying. You either want to and you commit to it or you don't. That's it. That kind of stuff angers me. I mean, you see how my whole mood changed when you start talking about that because that cripples us, and now we're one-dimensional, and now you're putting a tremendous amount of pressure on your quarterback.
Sure.
Now, if he's not Brady, it's going to be tough.
Right.
That's tough, and you're getting him hit. I mean, how long is that going to last?
Well, he's been sacked 23 times.
Yeah, how long is that going to last?
Right, exactly right.
That's not a good thing for a quarterback of his standard and what he's capable of doing. We got to create ways to get the ball out of his hands and get it to those receivers much quicker. The fact that pressure is being put on him and he's been hit that many times, the fact that he's completing almost 80% of his passes is ignorant. It's just you guys really don't understand. Like, if you really understand what he's just saying, like, this is unheard of. And I'm not saying this because of my son. It's truly unheard of. If you could just imagine if it was a little different where we had a balanced attack and a tremendous running game and we did a few things different, it wouldn't even be fair.
Right.
It wouldn't even be fair because you're talking about a game that was dismal for us offensively, and he was still over 70% completion percentage, and that does not happen.
Yeah, I think he's at 77.8% or thereabouts this season,
that's crazy.
Which is an enormous number.
Yeah.
So that's something. So the idea of running the football, as you kind of talk about, it's an attitude. It's a mentality
and a commitment.
Right.
That's an attitude and a commitment.
Yeah. So how do you instill that?
Thank you, Lord. Thank you for holding back.
I know, I asked you the wrong question.
For holding back what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
It's
something
we're working on that.
We're working on that, recruiting and all those different things.
Just like we're working on stopping the run as well. We're working on both of those simultaneously.
Right. Yeah. This team you're going to face this weekend, USC. I know you got. I was really kind of almost back on my heels. You've got an enormous amount of respect for Lincoln Riley, the head coach.
Honestly, I'm glad you led me down the street. I have an enormous amount of respect for all the other coaches. Yeah. It's just not reciprocated. When have you ever heard me say anything derogatory about a player or coach?
I have not.
Ever. Not even when I played. I was known to be this talker. I don't do that. Even when I played, you thought I did, but I never talked to my opponents. I don't believe in that, man. I just don't. But I have a tremendous amount of respect for all of them, especially Lincoln Riley and some of these guys that have been consistently really good and have been consistent leaders, not only leading their teams to a multitude of victories, but leading these guys into the NFL. I have a tremendous amount of respect for them.
So guys like Lincoln, Coach Saban,
awesome.
Another one that you think,
Yeah, and you never hear from guys like that because they don't. They're winners.
Yes.
Why would they take a shot at me and they're winning? Like, they're confident in who they are. They don't have time to take a shot at me, and I respect the heck out of those guys. I really do.
You know, Coach, what I've always called that? It's a big dog mentality, right?
Explain.
Well, I've always little dogs, when you put down a bowl of food and somebody walks in the room, they got to bark and let everyone know that food's mine.
Wow.
Big dog, you put the bowl of food down, We walk in, dog says food's mine. I don't need to tell anybody that. That's a big dog mentality you're talking about there.
So what you trying to say?
Yeah. I'm trying to say guys that don't talk are big dogs.
Yeah, but they assume I talk.
Right.
And I don't
You
talk.
don't talk. And
Yeah,
I'm just
but
saying,
we're
that's-
loud, but
yeah.
I don't talk.
I mean, you talk out here, but you don't talk in that regard. Yeah.
Yeah, but they assume I do.
Yes.
So that's the assumption. You know what that word breaking down carefully means.
Is that been the biggest misconception about you during your career?
Pretty much. People didn't care, though. I didn't care either.
Right.
I mean, I just let it be what it was. Yes, but what? Because back in those days, we didn't have Instagram, and we didn't have a pen, and we didn't have Twitter, so we couldn't defend ourselves. So whatever Tom, Dick, Harry, or Larry chose to write about you, it stuck. And you had no defense. And when you even tried to defend yourself, you were ostracized. So you just say, forget you. I just won't talk to you. I'm just do my thing.
Well, what did you learn from Mickey Andrews?
A lot.
At Florida State. That was his defensive coordinator at FSU.
Shoot, Coach Andrews, half of the country couldn't play for Coach Andrews. Coach Andrews was a disciplinarian. He was a great man. He was a great leader. He was a great father figure for me. Work ethic, everything. I mean, I still, to this day, I call him probably every 2 weeks or every week just to talk to him about football. And he always ends up with, Coach, remember, the standard is the standard. Never change the standard. Always ends with that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So make sure everyone has a complete idea and a clear idea what is expected and hold them to it.
And this is who we are.
Yeah.
We ain't changing that. I don't care who you are. We're not changing. This is how we are. This is where we're going. This is how we're going to get there, and that's not going to change.
Which plays in a little bit. You had a comment. I won't say. You had a comment about one of your players this week. You were
I
asked
know
about
you're
that.
talking about.
Yeah. And that's the kind of mentality you're trying to get across to you.
I'm not changing.
Yeah.
I'm 56, and I'm really confident about who I am. I'm good. I've done some good things in life. I'm not changing.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to be, and if you like it or you don't, you could stay here, you could go.
Okay.
It's going to be one another because when 119 players choose to do it this way and we got one guy that doesn't, that's a problem.
Yeah.
It's not with the 119, it's with the one.
Yeah. You know, when we were talking about Travis, I should have brought this up. I want people to understand when you preach character to these guys, and we saw just the other night that Travis got together with the young man from CSU, and I thought it was a phenomenal gesture on both players' parts.
Right.
That's a byproduct of what you've been trying to teach us.
Well, character is everything. Character shows up when no one else does. Yeah. And Travis is that kind of guy. I mean, it's hard to have a guy at that level and that level character as well. Travis ain't drinking, smoking, staying out late, and he's not, trying to impregnate the whole campus. He's just a good kid. Yeah, that happens, okay? Don't think I don't know. Yeah, but Travis is a really good kid. Yeah.
You got, we're in the last couple of minutes here. Okay.
Yeah. A bunch of little Travises right here.
Well,
we ain't trying to do it.
I was just trying to figure out how do I venture away from that and get into.
I'm sorry. The honesty
that's right.
just leaks out.
That's all right.
I apologize.
Sometimes those unspoken thoughts just come
True.
rolling on out. Hey, so USC coming here. This is I think a marquee quarterback matchup we've got.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams, he's got the Heisman Trophy right now. Give us a quick comment about that young man.
The kid is unbelievable. He extends plays. He has a grasp on his offense. It almost look like they're just toying with people. They have a tremendous offensive coordinator. He's protected pretty well, but he still has escapability. He keeps his eyes downfield. He doesn't look to run. He looks to throw the ball. They have some guys in the slot. They have some guys on the outside as well, but so they have some guys in the slot that can make it happen. Yeah. They're playmakers, and they have a running game that gives them enough balance. When they want to run the football, they can successfully. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge. I like that because our kids have something to aim at, to shoot at. Like we got to stop this kid.
I think during your playing career, you faced guys like a Randall Cunningham or a Steve Young, guys that had that ability very well.
Yeah, but not like that. I mean, this guy wants to throw.
Sure.
He just has escapability.
So when you've got a guy that's able to do that really puts stress on the defense, right?
True. Yeah. It does, but you got to, like this morning, we started off with 5 things that the offense needs to do. 5 things that the defense need to do that they're going to see from the opposing teams, and that's how we started our morning meeting. And they saw those 5 things candidly that USC is going to do, offensively and defensive, that we got to stop. We got to stop these 5 things.
All right. When we're seeing all kinds of rumors about the famous people coming, when do you find out who's going to be at the game? How do you find out about that?
I don't like the phone calls. I get them some, but I send them over to Coach Ray.
Okay.
But it's It's probably 3 times what you guys have heard. It's probably 3 or 4 times that. And some guys you may not deem to be famous, but your kids do.
Sure,
you know?
sure, we understand.
Yeah. And also we have some former Buffs that's here that I love when the former players come back.
Oh, yeah.
Like I just left Cordell and Westbrook over. They're over there eating right now, and I can't wait to get back to chop it up with them. But it's going to be good. But I like that for you all. I mean, I really do. I like that some of these guys are, parking the big jets on the nearest airport, and you're going to see, shoot, I think half the NBA is going to be here. Yeah.
Okay, I know there are plenty of former players that'll talk football with you. Who's a famous person that gives you football advice? Is there somebody?
A famous person that gives me football advice?
I mean, outside of a Warren Sapp and guys that know the ball. The game,
famous? Right? You mean like an actor or?
Sure.
No one gives me football advice.
Like, Prime, you really should try and maybe do
this.
Yeah,
that would be ignorant for them to.
Right.
It's like me giving Jamie Foxx acting advice. Jamie Foxx checks on me. I mean,
does he really?
Yeah, because we went through, something.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
Sure.
And he almost lost his life as well. So, and he's a friend. Where I live in Texas, he lives right down the street. Like he was born and raised right down the street, probably 15 minutes from where I live. But it's just a lot. It's a lot. I mean, like the DMs after a game are just, it's like it's tremendous and it's very respectful and I love it because there's some people that you wouldn't even think of that is checking in and checking on you. I tell you what, one person that you wouldn't think that we correspond.
Okay.
That's really good is Andy Reid.
Really?
Yeah, Coach Reid and I.
Where did you guys cross paths?
I think I played against him. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah, sure. Makes sense.
But I mean, we just have this love. I respect the heck out of him. You got to know that. But just coming in after practice and you look on there and it's a text from Andy Reid. I'm like, wow. What's up, Coach? Coach, can you help me with this running game?
Yeah. So we just found out the person that gets you excited about getting a message.
Excuse me?
So we just found out about who the person is that gets you excited about getting a
message. It's a lot of them.
Sure.
I mean, we got one of probably the most affluent African American man in the country that and he's taking us in, and nice. Really helping us do some tremendous thing. And Robert Smith, he's
wildly successful.
You can tell everybody at Clap got money. They're like, I know who that is. Everybody was broke was like, who is that?
Robert Smith.
Yeah, Robert Smith.
Yeah, we're not talking about the former NFL running back.
Right. Yeah. He pulled up to the hotel in the Bugatti a couple of weeks ago, so that lets you know how he rolls.
Well, I tell you what, it's good to be back home. Thank you for being here today. Good luck on Saturday.
Yes, sir.
All right, there he is. Coach Prime. Here the Buffaloes have got USC on Saturday, 10 o'clock. At Folsom Field, we'll hit the air at 8 o'clock. We're at the Post Chicken and Beer. It's Buffs Prime Time, presented by Aflac. Tim Brewster, tight ends coach, coming up next. This is Colorado Football from Learfield. Coach's Show is hosted by the Post Chicken and Beer with 7 Colorado Front Range locations. The Post brews have delicious, award-winning beers and fries up the crispiest, juiciest hot chicken around. Fried chicken and beer go together like black and gold football. Stop by the Post for all your game time provisions. And for next week's show, we'll be out here as the Buffs next week are on the road against Arizona State. But this week, it's USC. As we're back in the program, time for our assistant segment. And you got to do double duty today. We're going to keep you for 2 segments because Mikey couldn't make it today.
Let's go.
All right. Tim Brewster, your tight end coach here at the University of Colorado, joining us here for a few minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
How much fun has this been for you this season, kind of jumping on this new staff with all the excitement?
Yeah, it's been incredible. I joined Coach Prime's staff last year at Jackson State, and we had an amazing season there, and the opportunity to come to the University of Colorado. And I'm very familiar with the University of Colorado. I coached at the University of Texas, played here in this stadium. Matter of fact, myself and the athletic director at the University of Colorado played together at the University of Illinois.
You and Rick were teammates.
We were teammates.
Okay.
He was not a real good player. Okay. Do not let him try to fool you on that.
All right, good to know. That's a little. I got to go do an interview with him after. We're going to bring that up.
Bring that up.
Yeah. Could you tell back in the day that Rick was a leader though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rick has always been, a great personality, people person.
Yeah.
His people skills are off the chart, and his ability to connect, his ability to organize, the job he's done here at Colorado has been outstanding. I've got tremendous admiration and respect for Rick and the job he does.
How did you get into coaching? Was it always a foregone conclusion?
I was a player. I played at the University of Illinois, and then I tried to make it in the National Football League, and I never quite made it, hung around for a couple of years. But I knew I wanted to be a coach. The greatest thing in the world is to be able to play the game of football. The second greatest thing in the world is to coach it. You're still connected to it. We were talking last week, game day, that feeling on game day that you wake up. And the first thing I do on game mornings is I tweet out, game day, exclamation, exclamation, there's nothing like it,
Yeah.
And so we were just talking, Mark and I said, I'm paid to do something that I really love. It is not a job. It's a labor of love. I enjoy every aspect, every moment of the game. And I say game, football's life to me. It teaches so many great life lessons to both grown-ups, to, players, kids, and so football has been amazing. I always say this. If you love football, football will love you back.
Sure.
You don't love football, football will kick you right in the behind.
Yeah, and discard you.
No question.
Very, very quickly.
To the curb.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. You mentioned those game days. If you're a fly, who's a fly fisherman out here? Anybody? But not many. Oh, boy, you guys need to take up a good hobby. We're living in Colorado, for goodness sakes. They always say in fly fishing, the tug is the drug, right? When you feel the fish on the line. That's kind of like that high on Saturday.
No.
Gary Barnett and I talk about it all the time.
Yes, sir.
Gary still revels in that it's game day,
Sure.
what that means, and the responsibility that comes along with that.
There's no question. And we're here to win. We're here to win. Football's too hard a game. You pour your heart and soul into your preparation, and then to go lose the game. I'm glad I haven't lost much in my career. I really have. I've been a part of national championship football teams. I coached for the Denver Broncos, and we went and were one game from the Super Bowl. Lost it. Some in this room may remember we lost to Pittsburgh in Denver.
Oh yeah.
Roethlisberger had an amazing day, right? Ruined my night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but anyhow, I just. You pour your heart, and what we're doing here, what Coach Prime is doing here is so real. I mean, he is pouring his heart and soul into turning a program that hasn't been relevant for how long, Mark?
Well, I've been here 19 years prior to this one. It's been a long time. Long time. Got to go back to early 2000s, really, outside of 2016, yeah.
And, he's just, it's happening. Right before your eyes, everybody in this room can see it's happening. We were exposed last week against Oregon. Facts are facts, okay? We got to get, and Coach Prime has said this, we got to get bigger people. we got to get bigger people on the offensive line. We got to get bigger people on the defensive line. My tight ends got to, continue to play better, do better. Every coach is responsible for his players and how they play. And if the players play good, you're a good coach. If players play bad, you're a bad coach.
Yeah.
That's reality.
Yeah. Well, the Buffs get ready for USC this week. Let's talk about your tight ends a little bit. Mikey was going to be here. Mikey Harrison was going to be here, and a class conflict came up at the last minute, so he's not here today. Mikey's a great story. What he's been able to accomplish. Comes here as a walk-on, as a wide receiver. You guys take a look at him and say, we think you could be a tight end. Talk a little about that decision.
And I don't call him Mikey. I call him Michael.
Right.
Michael, I'm trying to make this guy into a killer, and I have a hard time calling him Mikey,
Killers can't be Mikey, by the way. Apparently.
And so, but he is a wonderful, wonderful young man. I mean, he's from a great family, and he's been raised right. He has embraced. I went to him, and I watched him in the spring, and he's got really good ball skills, pass receiving skills, and I love receiver-trained tight ends. I can impose my mindset and make them tougher and make them embrace the run game, but it's hard to teach pass receiving skills, and the ability to track a football and do, and Mike had those attributes, and he's not quite 6'3". He's probably 220, 222 pounds. I wish he was a little bit bigger. I wish he would be able to help me a little bit more in the run game, help our run game, which everybody in the room knows we need to do a better job of running the football. But again, Mike embraced the change, okay, and he has given me everything he's got. Pretty amazing stat, okay. He's been targeted this season 17 times by Shedeur Sanders. He's got 17 catches.
Wow.
And 3 touchdowns.
Wow. That's efficiency. Yeah.
And again, he's such a hard worker. He grinds every day at practice, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Okay, Caleb Fourier is a young guy who's just now getting healthy and I think has the ability to help us. And Eli Yelverton is another guy that, so I've got a good room, and our MO is that we will not be outworked. Okay, we will not be outworked by anybody. And if I was outworked, if I felt like we were out-prepared by anybody, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I don't sleep much as it is, But we're going to grind, and Mike is, again, like I said, has embraced that. Excellent route runner, really, really good ball skills, as you saw. In the Colorado State game, he was on a different level. Yeah. And what you saw there is you saw tremendous synergy between the quarterback and the tight end. Okay, he has earned Shedeur's trust, and that's huge. Okay?
Oh, without
that's
question,
absolutely huge. That the quarterback has faith and trust that when he's looking for you, you're going to be where you're supposed to be,
and you're going to catch it,
and you're going to catch the ball.
Yeah.
And so again, Mike is a work in progress, but I really like the direction that he's heading, the things that he can do, so he's been I don't know that he's been a surprise to me. Has he been a surprise to you guys?
Yes.
Is he a surprise?
Yeah.
I really didn't know how much time, Mark, he's gotten on the field prior.
Not a whole lot, so that's why he kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of people. But he has been a great addition for Colorado offensively. Let's go take a quick timeout. We'll come back more with Tim Brewster. We're at the Post Chicken and Beer. It's Buffs Primetime presented by Aflac. Back in a moment. This is Colorado football from Deerfield. We're back on Buffs Primetime, presented by Aflac. Get help with the expenses health insurance doesn't cover. Visit Aflac.com to learn more here at the Post Chicken and Beer for Buffs Primetime. We've had head coach Prime on. We're continuing with Tim Brewster, the tight ends coach for the University of Colorado. You've had kind of a unique experience, Tim, in your career. You were talking about Mikey Harrison evolving from a wide receiver to a tight end. That position is changed, I think, more in football maybe than any other. And you've been kind of the forefront of that. You had a guy in San Diego that was pretty darn good. It was a basketball player, turned out to be a pretty good tight end.
No question, Mark. And the tight end position has evolved into, the highest paid NFL player on the offense is the quarterback left tackle. Yeah. Okay, the guy who's going to protect him. Now the tight end has kind of moved into that third spot. And it truly is a unique animal, the tight end, in today's game, because we're asking him to block a 280-pound defensive end. Mm-hmm. We're asking him to get vertical and stretch the defense, be able to catch a ball over his shoulder, a guy that probably runs. My perfect body type is for the tight end position would be 6'5", 245 to 250 pounds, and you run 4.6 in the 40. Huh?
That's a pretty good frame.
That's my dude right there.
Yeah. You had a pretty good one, Antonio Gates, though, there for a while.
I really did, Mark. And it's funny. I talked to Antonio yesterday. Antonio Gates did not play college football, and I was coaching for the San Diego Chargers, and I went and watched him in a pickup basketball game in Kent, Ohio, just playing on campus at Kent State. It was the height. I sweat bullets during the draft because I thought Marty Schottenheimer told me we're not going to draft him because he didn't play.
Right.
And so I sweat bullets through the draft, right? I thought somebody was going to take him for sure, and we got through the draft, and I gave the kid $3,500 to join us with the San Diego Chargers. It was the heist of the century in the National Football.
Yeah.
He yesterday afternoon we talked, and this is his time to go into the Hall of Fame, and one of the greatest moments of my life will be next August when I'm sitting in Canton, Ohio, with Antonio Gates.
Yeah, to show you how old I am, I did one of his college games, by the way, when he was playing basketball for Kent State. Hey, the last minute or so we've got here. Give us a quick kind of glance at the USC defense you're going to face on Saturday.
USC's really good. They're athletically, they've got two ends that can really get pressure up the field. They've got a defensive tackle, a guy named Bear Alexander, number 90.
Monster.
Okay, he's probably 6'5", 310 pounds, very athletic. We're gonna have to do our job of making sure that we account for certain people. Bear Alexander would definitely be one of them. And the tight end's going to be in position this week where we're going to double their ends some, and we're going to do some things to try to help pass protection, keep Shador upright, and that's going to be critical to our success.
Love it. Hey, Tim, thanks for being here today.
Mark, it's my pleasure. Go Buffs!
There you go. Let's hear for Tim Brewster, tight ends coach for the University of Colorado on Saturday at 10 a.m. Colorado and USC will hit the air at 8 a.m. Out of Duane Field. Come by and say hi to the Buffs and the Trojans at 10 as we wrap it up here from the Post Chicken and Beer. This is Colorado football from Learfield.